Okay, so we have our bread, our flour, yeast, and our salt mixture. We're going to take the pan and we're just going to pour this right in. And again, since we are putting this directly onto the yeast, you don't want it too hot, which is why we almost melt the butter. So using a plastic spoon, you can use wood. I prefer plastic because it's easier to clean. So we're just going to stir this in. You can do this in a bread maker. I like to do it by hand, but bread mixers have other uses. You can make yogurt and other things with it. I prefer just to take and use this. It kind of gives me a little bit of an arm workout. So this is what your bread mix should look like. And by the way, this will make 2 loaves. So we have it pretty decently mixed here. There's some lumps in it still, but they'll get worked out whenever we actually take and start kneading the bread. So we only have 2 cups of flour in here yet. We're going to add another cup at a time. So we'll take and put some flour in one of the cups here. And we'll dump 1 cup in. So this will make a total of 3 cups. The actual recipe calls for 4.5 to 5 cups of flour. You'll use some of that for actually kneading the bread. But you see how it's kind of getting elasticy? That's what you want. So we'll mix all of the flour in until it actually gets real good and solidified, combined very well. So it'll start to come together. And you want to take and get down on the bottom too, so that you don't have any of the flour sticking. You want to use as much of the ingredients as possible. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to add 1 more cup of flour here to make it 4 cups. Okay, so now we have 4 cups of flour in it. We'll need another cup, 1.5 cups to actually make it elasticy enough to get into a ball, which is what you want. So whenever you see some of the liquid and the moisture of the batter tend to, kind of go away, then you know you're about ready. All right, so this is about as mixed as I'm going to get here. I'm going to take and I'm going to churn this out onto the actual mat. But before we do that, let's put some flour onto the mat itself so that we have something to dump it onto and everything won't stick. Okay, let's take and we're going to make sure you have clean hands. These days with the COVID-19, everybody's washing their hands, so you want to have clean hands whenever you're dealing with food. Okay, so we'll dump everything in the bowl out. And your bowl should be mostly flour. And we'll put that in the sink, because we're going to need the bowl in a couple minutes. Good enough? Okay. Okay, now you want to get some flour onto your hands because you're going to start to get messy. We'll take and we'll get most of the dough off of here. And right now it looks like a big mess, but I promise it'll get better. You're not going to get this completely clean, but you want to get as much off as you can so that you have a good batch of bread. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we want to take and start kneading the bread. You'll take and just start folding it in over top of each other. You can get some more flour on your hands, that's always a good thing. And it'll start to come together. Right now it looks like a big mess, but that's what it's supposed to look like. You're incorporating air into this so that the yeast, in order to work and live and grow, you need the food, which most organisms need to grow. You need the food, you need the air, and you need heat. So right now we're incorporating the air. The bread is the food for the yeast, so that the yeast will rise. And you can make the bread without yeast too. Jewish people do not use yeast for their Passover meals. So they would make bread, which would be unleavened bread, without the yeast there. Okay, see how this is coming together here a little bit? I'm take and sprinkle a little bit more flour on that. And this takes a couple minutes, not long. Okay. And this actually looks pretty darn good. So that's what it should look like.